So recently we hit a milestone of 200 Starfield bad videos. Can you guess how many Diablo 4 bad videos I have? Take your shot, take your shot. Spoiler, it's more than 200 at this point. That's right. More than 250 Diablo 4 bad videos. Man, I'm on a roll.
Path of Exile 2 just dropped its biggest update yet. Trading is finally fully in the game, no tabbing out,
Nice.
and a free weekend has player counts surging. But they also added the most insidious pay-to-win feature ever seen in the industry. Last Epoch Season 3 is fun, but feels kinda thin next to that monster Season 2 that we got, and I'll explain why. Diablo's entire team unionized. Bloodlines 2 is walking...
Oh my god! Imagine you're Blizzard. Imagine you're Blizzard. Diablo 4 is a failing pile of dumpster shit. And your team is like, well, we're failing constantly. Rod Ferguson left because, I mean, even he got fired. And why are we gonna do so we don't get fired and can keep ruining everything in existence? Oh, let's unionize. Oh my god. Imagine you're Blizzard and your team of Diablo 4 is performing so poorly, Diablo Immortal is unironically conventionally considered to be the better Diablo experience at this point, and your shitty developers can't do anything right, just unionize so you can't even fire them. Amazing. Now, I'm not saying Bobby Kotick would not allow this, but Bobby Big D G Original Invert Kotick would never allow something as redundantly stupid as this to happen. Bobby would be, listen guys, you can't even sell $100 horses any longer correctly. You can all just leave if you want, okay? If you're gonna unionize, I will fire you. It is what it is. Slap Svaters on behind. Bobby G Kotick, everyone. God, Blizzard needs Bobby back. He truly was the glue that held the dam together. Okay, maybe sprinkle in a little bit of pirated Blizzard 7 software in there, into the mix, and we can get the Blizzard of the Golden Ages back, okay? Bobby did such an amazing job not allowing this trash fiesta to just burn itself down to the ground.
Back paywalled clans, maybe. And we've got Real Oceans coming to Light No Fire. Chapters below to skip ahead to different topics, and don't forget to ring that sub-notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes. Starting off with Last Epoch, Season 3 is well underway. We're a bit more than a week into the season, and we saw a concurrent player peak of 80,000. Pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Season 2's peak was an astounding 150,000, but Season 1 was only 71,000. All-time peak at launch was just shy of 260,000. Now, Season 2 was an anomaly.
Season 2 was really good. And Season 3, this is not cutting it for a lot of people. And I get it. The bosses just have too much HP. When you're leveling, they're actually really annoying. Whenever you encounter them, you're like, okay, this thing has way too much HP to kill. It's not rewarding enough, and I feel bad for doing it. Plus, I have figured out, I currently actually, in preparation for this video, have a poll, fresh poll out on the channel. You can go and check it if you want. And the question is very simple, because I'm starting to see a pattern here when I think about it. I think the reason why people don't like this new season of Last Epoch and this is because what you see on the map here. I think whenever we're talking about ARPGs and we're talking about small confined cave spaces like this and it's all just black or, you know, one or two colors, people don't like it. It's the same way that I feel that people just like kind of open spaces that are reasonable. Like, you know, in Path of Exile, every open space feels great. Every confined space feels pretty bad. In Last Epoch, though, even confined spaces feel kind of okay. I don't know, for example, the sword system in Path of Exile 1, you know, Act 3, feels kind of okay. In every other game, in Last Epoch, the sword system feels bad. In Diablo 4, the equivalent of a sword system feels bad. Tight caves feel bad. And I don't know. There's just something about this. Whenever you're talking about confined spaces, people typically don't seem to like it. At least that's kind of what I'm thinking. Leave the timestamp in the comments and tell me your opinion. I want to know if I'm onto something here. I want to know if people are just against confined spaces. But because in most games this doesn't work. But then I think about Path of Exile, and it's like the aqueducts are one of the all-time most favorite place for people to be in. The aqueducts fucking kick ass, dude. Even though they literally have dead ends that people sometimes go into. And the sword system in Act 3 also, where you get the three busts, that also doesn't feel honestly that bad. But in other games, sword systems are just sad. In Last Epoch, I don't like the sword systems. Is it the layout? Is it the size? Why exactly is it that there's such a strong reaction for most people? It seems like for this stuff. I want to know.
It was a very long time between season 1 and 2, and season 2 was really packed with juicy content, tons of hype for it. In comparison to season 2, season 3 feels underwhelming to a lot of players. The game's still fun, don't get me wrong here, but the season doesn't shake things up enough quite the same.
Again, not Path of Exile, but Last Epoch is a great game already. But this season is kind of just a little bit lacking and too weak.
Same way that season 2 did. And I think there's a couple reasons for this. First off, a lot of development effort went into Act 10, which is a fantastic act, by the way. Visually gorgeous, great narrative reveals, lore, world building, probably my favorite act in the game. That by itself, plus all the new monsters and regions that Act 10 adds to the game and makes its way into the monolith, all that is a large amount of content that took a long time to develop. But it doesn't feel that way to many players who are all about blasting straight through to the end game. For these players, efforts spent on the campaign almost feel wasted. Then the Season 3 theme, the Primal Hunt, doesn't appear often enough to really feel like the season theme. Even if you max it out in the Weaver.
Yeah, it does. It does also seem like it doesn't appear often enough. That's true. But I mean, if it appears way too often, that's bad.
Tree to make it spawn as often as possible. And it also just doesn't feel impactful enough when it does appear. A lot of players are just getting the sense that it's just another boss that you randomly fight in a map, just like many of the other mechanics already in the game. Nemesis, exiled mages, even champion monsters. It all just feels very...
Yeah. Again, Last Epoch does a great job for most mechanics to feel special enough, but not be oppressively encountered as often as, Diablo 4. Like, Diablo 4 does everything wrong, but Last Epoch this time, they did kind of miss on the amount of reward, difficulty, and how often it even appears.
Samey. Run around the map until you see the little icon, go to it, click it, or interact.
By the way, the fix for this is so ridiculously easy. I would say make it appear like 20% more by default, maybe 30% more. Make the boss a little bit less annoying while leveling, because it's extremely fucking tanky for no reason. Okay, if you're not playing a super strong spec when you're starting, the boss is gonna be super annoying for you because it just has too much HP for the weaker builds, the not meta builds, and then just make the boss actually drop more items, not uniques, not materials, but materials also. Okay, make it drop more glyphs. Who fucking cares? But make it drop more stuff while leveling. Whenever you encounter this boss, even if it's hard when you kill it, you know that it's gonna drop a lot of stuff. Okay? That's how it should go. That's how it should go. And maybe a little bit... No, actually, no. That's it. That's it. If Last Epoch just increases this, people would be so happy. Because Path of Exile has proved one thing about ARPGs. The difference between a bad mechanic and a good mechanic, unless you're Diablo 4, this does not apply to Diablo 4 because the game's ass. But for most games that are not default ass and completely failed conceptually, The difference between a good mechanic and a bad mechanic is just the amount of rewards you get. Every single bad mechanic in Path of Exile 2, well, and 1, I guess, mainly 1, that has ever existed has suddenly become good when GGG just increases the drop rate for stuff like twofold. And that's it. That's it. And everyone's suddenly happy. Oh, it's a bad mechanic? Just increase the amount of drops you get. That's it. And it works. It worked every single time. Every single season that GGG had fixed because it was bad, they just increased the drop rate for items from the events. And it was amazing. People fucking loved it. Even the Lake of Kalandra was instantaneously loved. By the way, I loved Lake of Kalandra by default, okay? I'm special in the not so good ways.
Back with it to fight the monster that spawns. If instead it was a mechanic that spawned, say, waves of enemies instead of just the one tough one, it would at least feel different from the rest of these. Another missed opportunity is having the seasonal mechanic interact with more game systems. All those things that I listed, they all feel like distinct, disconnected systems. But if a new season mechanic were built with...
Oh, by the way, imagine how good this season would be if the primal thing could interact with other mechanics. Like, your primal hunt thing interacts with the weaver mechanics, or something like that. And there's a chance that you get some weaver stuff in there. That would be so lit. But again, that's not even needed. Just increase the drop rates and you're probably fine.
With interaction in mind, that could be more exciting. Like, imagine if a mysterious rift could spawn a nemesis within it, and that nemesis would have primordial items. Just, I guess, a super basic example of interaction. I also think that the whole farm up your primordial currency to buy the primordial you desire in the shop thing, it doesn't feel as fun as getting the primordial to drop from the beast itself. So imagine if, instead of getting the currency, imagine if you got a random primordial...
I get what he's saying.
Primordial item to drop.
And that is an insane amount of bleed counters. I have never played Fissure with bleed, so I had no idea this is a thing. Well, considering I have played it with poison and damned, I should probably not be surprised because poison and damned counters are actually bigger for this.
Every time. And if you didn't like the item, well, you can sell that for the primordial currency, and then eventually, if you've had a string of bad luck not getting any good primordial item, you can then buy the primordial that you want. Altogether, if this was someone's first season playing and they didn't look at...
By the way, I would not say that that's a good idea because that's actually like making the game into Diablo 4. That's the Diablo 4 approach. That's the Diablo 4 mentality Riker's currently saying, and he probably unironically doesn't even notice it. He's saying, oh, the thing that you're supposed to farm, if you don't farm it in 5 minutes, let there be a pity system that just gives it to you anyway. That is how you make a failed ARPG. That is how you kill Diablo. Well, that's how Diablo 4 died. That's how you kill Path of Exile. That's how you kill Path of Exile 2. And that's how you kill Last Epoch. These pity systems should not exist. A pity system is just an admittance that you failed to make the system proper. And now you need to add a pity system because you're just shit at making the system. Pity systems are never the solution unless you're the gacha game trying to not get sued.
Anything outside the game to know what specifically was the season theme, I bet they wouldn't even be able to tell you what the season theme was. Like, they wouldn't be able to discern which of these various mechanics is the season theme. In comparison, other games generally, they make the season theme a very prevalent mechanic, at least when it's first introduced. So for future seasons, for instance, for when this makes it into the base game, because it must make it into the base game, it is a good mechanic, the spawn rate is good for a permanent feature, but having the whole primal hunt be more predominant during its introduction to feel more impactful would probably have been a good idea. Also, letting it lead to some kind of like a pinnacle boss fight would have been nice. Like the ultimate dinosaur ancestor, or something kind of like...
That would be nice, yes.
Tiamat, the 5-headed dragon god from Dungeons and Dragons. Now, among the player base, I also see recurring complaints.
Oh, I was thinking about... What are they called? Babylonian myth? Yeah.
Complaints about the monolith
I was thinking about that Tiamat
system. Lots of people seem to want to skip straight to empowered monoliths. But even then, it seems monos just don't provide enough variety in gameplay or enough chase goals to prevent them from eventually getting stale once you farmed like a few hundred corruption. And this seems to be why, despite last Epoch's multiple great systems, its seasons don't seem to have a longer life expectancy than even Diablo 4 seasons. The most fun thing to do in last Epoch...
Diablo 4 new seasons literally die on average currently in 2 hours because most people get fucking bored.
...is build new characters. But not everyone likes to make multiple characters per season, so for those people, they'll blast.
Again, this is sadly a Diablo 4 mentality.
They'll have some fun, and then they...
You don't need to make a new thingamajig here if you don't want. Path of Exile also does that, but the reality is for most people, for 90% of people I should say, starting a new season is the fun thing.
Peace out after like a week until next season. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, right? If you just want a 1 week, a 2 week game so that you can then peace off and go play other games and then come...
That's actually normal. Spending 2 weeks on a season is normal for Path of Exile. It's normal for last Epoch. It would be probably earth-shatteringly amazing for Diablo 4. Again, that game literally dies in now 1 day for the average person.
Back in 3 months. That's great. But for those who want like a 2-month game, I could understand the complaints about there being something missing here that isn't quite clicking. The season also seemed to have more bugs than usual, though the team has been working to fix them. Minion AI also doesn't seem to be as improved as initially promised. Snapshotting is still a thing. Game balance is perhaps more out of control than ever. If y'all aren't running frogs, you're missing out. Now, I'm sure part of the reason for the bugs and the balance issues is that content creators are no longer given early access to builds for testing, which was done because that's what the community wanted. Now, for another reason, I think that this was...
Are people playing on Buzzed? AWSD? Buzzed? I am. So, finally. Pretty good. Not gonna lie, it's kind of okay. Would be better on a controller, but I mean, controllers are pretty gay.
A smaller season, we can look at the game's original roadmap. We see that they mostly stuck to this roadmap, but they swapped seasons to...
Dude, this is gonna be so goddamn exciting when this happens. Oh my god. The reality is, I mean, you have a skill in this game. Every skill can be your primary source of damage, and every skill can be made into like 3, 4, 5, 6 different type of skill archetypes. So this is why I'm still playing a Necromancer, 100+ hours into this game, and I'm still playing a Necromancer only. I don't even touch other classes. Because there's just so much variety. And this shit is going to make it even better! I love it.
2 and 3. Primal Hunt was originally going to be Season 2. But I guess they saw, after the low Season 1 numbers, that they really had to go all out with Season 2. So they prioritized bringing the bigger update sooner. And honestly, it paid off. Season 2 was an absolute banger. Those numbers were incredible. And we didn't have to wait nearly as long for Season 3 as we had for Season 2. And now Season 4, if they are sticking to this roadmap, Season 4 is looking like it may be another banger.
That's an acceptably hot snake, by the way. I'm not gonna lie, boys. I said it.
Introducing skill sigils. This seems...
Also, it's been 20 minutes and I'm still gushing over last Epoch. What the? Riker, please! I like last Epoch too much. I need to shit on Diablo to make this even.
It's like new ways to modify our skills. Last Epoch already has the best active skill system in any ARPG. Are they about to make it even better?
True based real. Like this is by far my favorite. This is by far my favorite. This is peak, okay? This is peak. It is my favorite skill system in any game. It feels rewarding, it feels fun, it feels great.
Plus, new endgame bosses. That may be the pinnacle chase content people feel is lacking from monos. And hey, transmog and die systems? Nice. But how are you all feeling about last Epoch? Sound off in the comments.
I mean, again, at the end of the day, last Epoch is just a really, really solid 8 out of 10 game by default. The graphics are getting better. a lot of things are getting better by default also. So, it's just getting more and more up there. Given a year's time that we have until last Epoch becomes very pay to win in some forms. Again, I still expect uh what was the company that bought? I forgot. The Subnautica 2 company. That one. They bought last Epoch, and I'm not sure about them. They have made a lot of things pay to win and whatnot in the past, and they have done a lot of bad decisions that piss off players. So I'm not sure about the long-term future of Path of Last Epoch, but the short-term future is probably really good.
On a Path of Exile 2 yesterday saw the launch of the massive Third Edict content update. We got a video going over everything that the Third Edict adds, including asynchronous trade. And we learned this week that along with async trade, the update also brings an in-game trade browser, meaning you don't have to go tab out of the game and visit a trade
We know
website.
about this.
You can do it. Now, as we got the patch notes before the Third Edict launched, we saw that
there's a lot of massive balance changes that I'm not gonna care any about them because I'm still playing Last Epoch.
Amazon caught some strays because of changes made to the evasion accuracy formula. I've seen people call it a 50% nerf. Now, Amazon was by far the most popular ascendancy.
Yeah, duh, it's an Amazon. Big titties, waifu.
In patch 0.2, so taking her down a peg, maybe not so bad. Prior to the patch notes, I was seeing some excitement for cold sorceress builds, but then a lot of those skills got hit with, like, out of nowhere, cooldown timers.
Believe in believe in division, boys. What can I say? Believe in division. Okay? Division. Okay? It's division. I don't know why they think division is bad when it comes to one-shotting the whole screen with shatter, but I mean, division, boys, okay? The division. Still better than Diablo 4, so, it's okay.
Put on them. And other nerfs as well, so...
God, I can't absolutely get over my absolute bottomless hate for Diablo 4 and my bottomless love for Last Epoch, okay? I really can't.
Just kind of put a damper on cold sorceress builds. Flicker Strike got gutted.
Damn.
Even Bone Shatter got a big nerf. Overall, they seem to continue to nerf melee.
Well, Bone Shatter is ridiculous, so yeah.
Bizarrely. But we got a nice surprise. Big update for Witch Hunter. The Weapon Master notable passive now grants 100 passive skill points, up from 20. That basically means you can run 2 entirely different builds on Weapon Swap. And with Weapon Swap now being instant, this should allow for amazing possibilities. Oh, and the new sprint feature? You can enable an option in the settings to set it so that you keep sprinting even when you release the dodge button until you either stop moving or use a skill or otherwise get your sprint interrupted. Great little quality of life thing to help our poor wrists. Hear that? Like a cement.
Wait, I can do that. Come on. I can do the same.
Mixer. Now, going into this update, lots of content creators were hyping up Deadeye as likely to be the best starter ascendancy. There's just a ton of unknowns going into the update, so while it's possible for other ascendancies to emerge as the best, Deadeye was just the safest pick based on what we did know. Minions as well seem to be getting a lot of love. And warriors, well, the less we say about melee, the better. I myself started as a ranger, going for Deadeye eventually. I was only able to play a couple hours last night, but I'm really enjoying Ranger with WASD. It's my first time on a Ranger in PoE 2. I love ranged playstyles. I'm really liking being able to move and shoot in different directions. I'm almost done Act 1, and I think so far this is my favorite playthrough. I'm really liking the state of drops and early game balance. It's... I don't know if I should say this. It's maybe even a little bit too easy now. Maybe Ranger is just OP. I don't know. The Abyssal Fissures, the league mechanic, they're prominent, they're rewarding. So again, like compare that to Last Epoch where you don't run into the dinosaur stuff often enough and it doesn't even feel very rewarding. Abyssal Fissures definitely make their presence known, and the reward chest at the end has always felt rewarding. So far, my only complaint about this update is about the new sprint feature, because while sprinting, you have a worse turn angle than a Diablo 4 horse at launch. I think the Titanic had a better turn angle to it than the sprint in Path of Exile 2. and it
True, the iceberg only nicked it.
hit an iceberg, and you will hit an obstacle while sprinting, be it a wall, an object, a tiny pebble, and when you do, you get knocked out of the sprint and you're kind of slowed for a moment. So it's just really reduced how often I use sprint. I basically just use it in wide open areas where I'm not at risk of hitting anything. I'm convinced that the community will complain about this and it's gonna be improved.
Obviously.
I understand monsters knocking you out of your sprint and stunning you. It's a punishment mechanic so that you don't abuse sprint and you reserve it for use for rapidly crossing empty terrain and not just like avoiding monsters, running through monsters, running away from monsters. So given this is the intended use of sprint to rapidly run through areas without monsters, I don't get why they made it so unwieldy and clumsy that we're just bumping into terrain and slowing us down that way. But how do you folks feel about sprint? Do you like it the way it is? Do you think it should stay the way it is? Do you think it needs to be less clumsy? Sound off in the comments. Now, while this patch is huge and brings some great, wonderful things, I know some people were disappointed at a lack of changes to the endgame Atlas system, but major endgame changes are confirmed for the next update 0.4, and the devs have expressed that they are aware of players' complaints. I think possibly the most succinct summation of the main issue with the Atlas is that you're rewarded for juicing up maps around towers, and then, you know, obviously sticking around those towers in order to run all those juiced maps. But then you're given a goal to go out, find citadels, don't just stick around near the tower. So it just kind of feels like the system is fighting itself. But now, folks, I have to tell you about the terrible pay to win that
I'm assuming this is a joke, right?
they've also added a new MTX pet.
Yeah, it's a joke. Okay. Diablo 4 bad. Let's go, boys.
That I use. Then in Diablo news, the full 450 member Diablo team at Blizzard has unionized with the Communications Workers of America. They're the biggest communications and media labor union in the US. This was made possible thanks to Microsoft's union neutrality deal struck with the CWA back in 2022, right before its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The deal basically meant that Blizzard would not thwart employee attempts at unionizing, in short. There's been a ton of layoffs across Microsoft's gaming divisions in multiple waves over the past couple of years, and it was the latest round of layoffs in July that really...
I think this effectively means that Diablo 4 literally never will be good.
got the Diablo team to finally make the jump after, my understanding is, like months of discussions and organizing within the team. Now, I know a lot of folks are anti-union because of bad experiences you've had in unions in different sectors. Look, unions are a system, and like any system, they...
Listen, okay, I'm gonna tell you the reality about unions. If you go into a union, forget about ever becoming like a top dog at a company. A union means you're weak. A union means that you don't believe in yourself and you're not producing results good enough to be kept around. If you join a union, you have unequivocally completely failed yourself, unless you're the leader of the union, which is a grift, effectively, and you're bettering your life with that shit.
It can be abused. I agree. But the results of the unions forming so far in the video game industry specifically have not been negative. Some anti-union stories you hear is like, you no longer get promotions or raises based on merit. It's just on like seniority. You tend to hear that about like older unions and other sectors of industry. But in the video game industry, we're seeing union contracts that do preserve merit-based salaries and promotion. They're just asking,
but you're never getting, because you're in the union.
For clear and transparent criteria so that the system doesn't feel arbitrary. Unions also don't force employers to not lay off employees, but they do install better protections for employees, better severance packages, transparency as to why they are being laid off, also recall rights. Like, for example, let's say you're laid off because your job is no longer needed. You know, your project is wound down, or your project was just shut down. There can be like a 6-month recall period where, let's say the company now in 3 months decides to hire for your position again. Well, they have to call you up first before they start hiring new people. This way, employers can't do the churn and burn
This way, employers are just gonna fire half of the people, wait 9 months, and hire new people. It's not like there's no play around this.
Thing of just laying
Again, if you join a union, you're literally proving that you're incompetent.
off a bunch of people, saying,
There are very, very few exceptions because some unions, like in America, the trash people, well, garbage man unions, those are good because they fight for salaries. They fight for salaries, and that's good. But everything else is pretty much just a giant scam where you're fucking yourself over if you join a union because you just, again, being in a union means you're on a list of incompetent.
oh, we don't need you anymore. And then in 3 months, they're just rehiring people to fill those positions at an entry level, therefore cheaper. And now more recently, one particular concern is AI and how it's replacing jobs. Unions are starting to include policies that govern AI use. We've had multiple game studios unionized for a couple of years now, and we have yet to hear any negative story come out of a studio collapsing or a project failing because of a union. The video game industry has existed as this business where it's okay to exploit your workers for longer hours, more overtime, and less pay than an equivalent position at a software company because it's fun to work on video games. Yeah, it's all sunshine and rainbows to work on a game where every YouTube video and every Reddit thread and every...
Okay, does this have anything to do with Diablo?
...% less work. Oh, and just to clarify, it's also not 450 game designers. It's QA, software engineers, artists, community management. Now, all this is...
Bro, what are the artists fucking doing?
Say, on the public end, I don't expect to see any changes, but this is a good...
In any case, Diablo 4 is dead. Who would have expected, am I right or am I right? Anyway, 10 out of 10, that was Riker. Diablo 4 bad, I guess. Bye.